Hey guys, welcome back to Idaho Fabricator. I'm Steven. We are in the cab of the 53, and for this new year, I want to get started on my steering. I'm pretty excited about it, and it's kind of like a major hurdle, get your steering done in your rig. So I wanted to talk about first figuring out what steering column that you need, and how I went about figuring it out. So what I did is I got a piece of 2-inch pipe, which is the same diameter as the, as an aftermarket steering column. And I just a random length, okay? And I stuck it in there, and then of course I put my original steering wheel on there, and I pretended like I was driving, like making motor sounds. I mean, I know I'm admitting it. And so how did I figure this out? Well, I looked at the website. I'm going to get an I Did It steering column. And on their website, they tell you how they measure their columns. And the way they measure them is they measure them from the surface where the steering wheel mounts to the shaft that comes out of the end of the column itself. Okay? And that shaft sticks out the column 1.5 inches for the I Did It, and I think for Flaming River also. And so I took a tape measure. Actually, what I did was I took a piece of exhaust pipe and just cut a slot in it. And then you see these cardboard little things that I made? Okay, I took the measurements off of the steering column website, and that's the size of the tilt mechanism. And it's 7.5 inches long, right? So this shaft used to be a lot longer, and I put this on, slid it down so it was, close to the dash, because I wanted lots of arm room. And then I marked the shaft, and then I measured down to the floor and back, and it was 28.5 inches. So the shaft sticks out 1.5 inches. So 28.5 and 1.5 inches is 30 inches. So I ordered a 30-inch column from I Did It. And when I get that, that'll probably be in my next video. So in this video, I'm going to talk about this column stuff, and then I'm going to show you the U-joints I ordered. I got those, and some of the mocking up for figuring out the steering. So let's meet over at the table, and we'll talk about U-joints. All right, so these are the U-joints that I picked up, and they are really nice. They are made by Sweet Manufacturing. They are chrome moly steel, very smooth, butter smooth. And in my application, I'm going to need 3 U-joints. This one here has some splines on it. This one goes on the steering box. This one is a special one for the I Did It column. The column shaft goes into this end. And then I went with the double D steering shaft. Okay. Now you can choose like several kinds of steering shafts. You can get a round one, smooth, where you would weld it in. Okay. You can also get a round one with splines on it. And you can get what they call the double D. This is the double D, and they call it a double D because if you put a line down the middle, it would look like 2 Ds back to back. And then this fits inside there. It's a tight fit. And then you got set screws that you dimple them so that they wouldn't move. So that's how the double D works. The nice thing about the double D is when you're dealing with U-joints, one of the things that is important is, see how this comes out like this and this one comes out like that? It's very important that they be like that. In phase, they call it. Okay, if you have it like this, it can bind. So what's neat about the double D is, as you can see, when you have it in the right orientation, it takes care of that alignment issue. You can't get it wrong. So that's a pretty cool deal. Now on these U-joints, you can get these guys chrome plated. You can get them stainless steel, polished stainless steel. But I decided to go with these chrome moly black ones. You can't really see it on my truck, and they're strong, and you pay a little less money. So these 3 joints right here cost $230, just to give you an idea. So you know, there's a little bit of an expense there. So now there's a few basics. Let me show you on this. This is a printout of the column off their website for I Did It. And it tells you how to measure the overall length. It tells you the length of the tilt mechanism, which is 7.55 inches. The column is 2 inches in diameter. There's a 1-inch double D shaft, and it's 1.5 inches stick out. Okay, so that little cardboard deal I made, I just made it 7.5 inches. That way I knew how close I could come to the dash, and then just measured from here to the floor, and that gave me my, and then added 1.5 inches, and that gave me my column length. So one of the reasons that, now let me explain something. You can choose to have your column go through the floor, through the firewall of your truck or car, and stick in there. But in my application, the longer this sticks out into the column, and I'll show you in a minute, the more angle you get on the joint, okay? And this company, Sweet Manufacturing, they recommend, this is a 30-degree angle. They recommend no more than 30 degrees. Okay, so, because it almost binds if you go a little over 30 degrees. So I'm going to try and keep the angle as, minimal as I can. So that is the plan. Now, let me show you what I came up with for mocking this thing up. This is a 3/4 inch wooden dowel. I got it at Home Depot. It was cheap. It's like $3. Okay. And what I did was I glued it to a piece of wood just like this, and I ran one side through the table saw, and then I moved the blade over and I cut it off this stick, and I ended up with a double D wooden shaft, right? Which is really cool because I can slide it in here, and then these little set screws, it'll kind of hold it in place. And then I can play around with different lengths and see which is going to work the best in my application. And I don't have to worry about cutting up the steel shaft and making it too short or not long enough, or something like that. So let's see, what else did I want to show you before we get started? Oh, because I have 3 U-joints, I'm going to have to support this shaft, okay? And so I ordered this guy here, and they're not very expensive. And what this does is it slips over this double D, and it fits really close. There we go. Okay, and this would support that 3rd U joint so it wouldn't flop around. Okay, so when I had this deal here, the first thought I had was, and let's head over to the frame and I'll show you guys what I was doing. So the first thought I had was I made a little tab like this, and I figured it would probably go somewhere in here, and then let me get that joint and I'll show you. Probably go something like this. It would go in here, and then here's the steering box down here. The shaft would come up along the manifold and then go to the steering box. And I thought that would work. Well, when I mocked everything up, this wasn't tall enough. It needed to come up here. Okay, and then I thought, well, that might be kind of flimsy, just a piece of flat steel. I mean, it might be okay, I don't know. So this was version 1.0, so I kind of decided against that. And then I came up with this version here, which is just a piece of rectangular square tubing where I cut off one side, drilled a hole in it, and then that would go something like that. I thought, well, that looks a little stronger. But I was sitting back in my chair looking at it, and this just seemed a little bulky, a little big. So version 2.0 out. Then I went with some 2-inch square tubing, right? Same thing, cut this off, made a downward bevel. Instead of this one was kind of squared off, so I went with a, get these like that. So I went with a kind of a slopey bevel. I thought that looked better. And then came up with this design. And I like that. It looks good. It fits everything. And so version 3.0 is a keeper. So let me get the U-joints and let me show you kind of how this lays out. All right, so hold on just a second. All right, so the one U-joint here, I don't know if you can see it, has splines in it. And this set screw here, the way it works is, if you can put the camera down here, I'll point it out to you. If you notice this shaft here, it has a, can you get in there and show them that? Okay. It has like a little groove here, okay? That's where this set screw, when you tighten this set screw down, get it lined up. Man, I'll tell you what, when you buy a good quality U-joint, it fits. You gotta just find the sweet spot. There, woohoo! And this will fit anywhere on there because it's just got splines everywhere, so you just kind of... Anyway, this goes on, and then when you get it on far enough, I should probably make sure that, oh, that thing was sticking out, that's why. There we go. So this set screw will go down in this groove, and then you'll put some Loctite and tighten it up, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so that one's on there now, and so then I'll take my piece of wooden doweling. Oops, I guess I better loosen that set screw too. Slide that in there. Okay. And don't really worry at this point about, going in and out, because when you find that magic spot, I'll just mark this wood with a pencil, and then I'll be able to figure out what my steel is going to be. So we'll try that one there. And then, let me get my joint here. Fits pretty good. And what do I do with my bracket? Oh, here it is. There it is. That up in there. Okay. That kind of holds it there. And then, of course, you can slide this up and down so you can basically raise and lower it. And I've kind of played with this a little bit, and I think this is a good length for me. So that'll work there. This one here goes up here by I got a magnet there. It doesn't have a whole lot of sticky to it. And then I drop my other U-joint way down here. So, double D, another double D. And so, earlier I was telling you that if you had this column sticking out of the firewall, okay, it would push, and you had to make this corner here, it would end up making this angle a lot more severe than it is. And then of course you can move this around to find that spot that works. And the nice thing is these wooden dowels, they move in and out, so you can play around with links, because you'll notice that as you shorten these up or lengthen these, it changes this angle a little bit. So, and I think that's going to be pretty close. I won't know exactly until I get the actual column. And then in the next video, I will, we'll get the column mounted, and then we'll know the shaft that's coming out. We'll be able to fix this so it doesn't wiggle around. And we'll be able to really dial in these wooden dowels and make sure that they, but see, that's not a bad angle there. That's not bad there. And that's pretty good down there. I think this would probably work really well. So I don't know, I'll move out of the way. Maybe you can get in there and show them. Hope you guys can see that okay. I think that's where it's supposed to go there, yeah, so. Anyway, this thing, I should have left the nut on that. It keeps falling out there. So you see, because you have 3 joints, you've got to support this middle part here. And they recommend, to be kind of in the middle of this whole setup, as close as you can get to the middle joint, but I don't want to get too close because I'll hit the manifold, but I think that gives me a good clearance, and I think that's going to work out really well. But like I said, once I get the column, and that should be coming in a week or so, we'll get that installed on the next video, and then we'll be able to really dial this in and see how it's going to look. So that'll be fun. And then we will cut the shafts and make everything look good. So yeah, so these little wooden deals are nice, and because you can just finger tighten these, and it kind of holds them in place. And then ultimately, when I find the, where the length is the best, and get everything lined up, I'll run a pencil line right along the edge here on both sides. And then roughly you have about an inch of, you put these, they don't want you to go more than an inch inside the U-joint, okay? Because when you go in, it can hit and bind up. So they want it about an inch of engagement. So all I'm really gonna do is mark these wooden dowels, remove them, measure the distance between the 2 pencil lines, and add 2 inches. And that'll tell me exactly how much to cut off of the steel double D. And I was going to mention that check around on your pricing on these things, guys, because like one company, this piece here was $49.99. Free shipping, but it was $49.99. And I went to, I don't know if they can see that, but Summit Racing, right? 24-inch chrome moly steel, $13.99. $13.99 is better than $49.99. So shop around a little bit, and a lot of times, in fact, most times, Summit Racing will match other people's prices. So in this case, they were the cheapest, so I went with them. So yeah, shop around a little bit, save yourself some money. Same thing on the U-joints, depending on whether you want the shiny bling bling ones, or if chrome moly steel is good to go, then, get the steel ones. So, man, a lot of stuff. Hey, it's going to be fun. And thanks for tuning in. Next video, we are going to install a steering column. We're going to mock everything up, figure it out, cut this steel shaft, and get it all dialed in. Hopefully my steering wheel, which is back ordered, will be in, and it's really cool. It's like super retro looking, and it's gonna fit the theme for my truck, which is kind of, I want it to look old, but be kind of new. It's kind of complicated, but for example, I ordered the column with the key in the dash, and that way I can get a push button starter. So the button will be on the dash like the key was, but it'll be a button. So a little new, a little old, kind of cool. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Be safe out in your shop. And oh, by the way, thanks so much for all your subscriptions, all your likes, all your thumbs up. I've almost got 1,000 subscribers. Smoking cool. Thank you so much for that. I will see you next time at Idaho Fabricator. Be safe in your shop.